Hey guys, it's me, Aaron here. Today we're going to do a Clone VX drivetrain maintenance video. I could do a reg video as well, but the reg is pretty dummy proof and foolproof, so it's pretty straightforward. You don't really need to worry about the reg so much as the drivetrain, because the drivetrain is a little intimidating for those of you that haven't had this gun for very long, or are just not the type that likes to clean. But anyways, the reason for this video is lately I've been having some leak issues with this gun. I've had air pissing down the barrel and I couldn't exactly find out what it was. But in this video I will show you and tell you what I found. It actually resulted in an email to Macdev asking what the hell it could possibly be, and they just pretty much told me to recheck everything and make sure nothing's damaged or cracked or anything like that. So without further ado, let's get to it. So what you're gonna need for this: Allen keys, your gun, militia lube, and some paper towel. Okay, so start off by removing the drivetrain from the back. Alright. Okay, just unscrews. Pops right up. Okay, set the gun aside. Alright, so what I've done to this drivetrain, I've actually kind of went a little crazy on it. I went out and bought quad rings, the 020 quad rings. I put them all on the outside here to prevent any leaks from the outside of the can. These O-rings are just static O-rings. They don't move. They don't take any type of friction whatsoever. So very, very seldomly do you have to replace these O-rings. I only did this just for shits and giggles, really. So what we're going to do is we're just going to split the drivetrain in half. Okay, so there's the power tube. In this video I'm also going to show you what leaks are caused by which O-ring. It's nice to know this because I didn't, and it's a pain in the ass. Just a second, I'm going to grab your rag because I'm very fucking prepared today and didn't think. Okay, so let's take a rag and just start wiping this down. Best thing to use, do not use paper towel. Well, you can use paper towel, but just don't use Kleenex, because Kleenex is very fibrous, okay? So it has a lot of fibers in it, and that also will fuck up your drivetrain if it's not cleaned properly. So we'll just take the whole drivetrain, and excuse me, I have a lot of indigestion today. Take the valve keg off. Okay. Set that aside. Pop the bolt and the spacer out. Okay. First of all, now, once you start wiping all your parts off, what you want to do in order to diagnose a leak is you want to check each O-ring individually. Okay. By doing this, is by starting off from this front. Okay, so you'll have an inner O-ring on your keg. So the best thing to do is take your bolt, okay, so the bolt tip, stick it in backwards, okay, and when you flip it upside down, the bolt should not fall out, okay. It should have a very, very soft seal and move freely, but yeah. But if you find that if you put your bolt in there and it falls out, then you need to replace that O-ring. So far, it's a good sealing O-ring. Other thing, take your bolt, put it in backwards. Here, I'll actually kind of get close to the camera. Just kind of put it backwards, right? Push it in. Bolt does not fall out. So that means this O-ring here is also a good seal, and there's no problems there, okay? So you may want to lightly lube these. Considering that, you know, this drivetrain's already lubed up on the inside, I don't have to re-lube it. I'm just showing you guys what to do. So all you gotta do is make sure it's clean, dry it out, make sure there's no dirt and debris in there. You should be fine. Next off, what you want to do is you want to take your bolt again. This time you don't need the keg. You just want the power tube. Okay? Insert your bolt on the power tube. Okay? It sits snug. It does not fall off. Other thing, flip it backwards. The power tube tip seals really well, and once again, doesn't fall off. Okay, so that should also be a soft seal. Okay, it shouldn't be too hard to move, because if it is really hard and really stiff to move, then maybe the O-ring's just a little swollen, and that should also be replaced. Now, here comes the interesting part. This is the part I had issues with. So what I was doing was I had this leak coming down the barrel. So 9 times out of 10 when you have a leak like that, you either think it's this O-ring here, the 017 on the inside of the bolt keg, or it's the power tube tip. But in this case, I changed all of these O-rings, including the one inside the keg, both the power tube O-rings, the 10x1 and the number 011 for the power tube. This is a 011 quad ring. So there's no damn way that air should be leaking from there. If it leaks from there, then oh, well, then you got another problem. But that's kind of what I was thinking. But this is when I called Macdev, and they said, well, if it's not any of your O-rings that are inside the keg, or your bolt tip, or your, not your bolt tip, your power tube tip, then you either A, have a crack in your bolts, or some O-rings are just not meant to be in that drivetrain. And when I mean not supposed to be there, meaning they're not genuine Macdev O-rings. So best thing to do is go directly to Macdev and get yourself an O-ring kit, because their guns are designed and based off of those O-rings and their grease as well. So if you find that you're going out and buying O-ring kits that are from O-Ring Monkey or from some stupid place that you just randomly bought them from and they do not work, that's likely the problem. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you want to check your spacer. By doing that, same thing, stick the end of your bolt through. Okay, does not fall out. It's got a pretty snug seal on there. This is step one, is making sure all your O-rings are fitting. The one thing I neglected to do was, of course, the valve, because I assumed, well, gun shoots fine, it leaks, I shoot the gun maybe once or twice, the leak goes away, no big deal, I can live with that. But I actually found out which O-ring it was, and I actually kind of slapped myself in the head when I figured it out. So what you want to do here is you want to just kind of remove the valve from the valve keg. Okay, it comes right out. And what you want to do here, okay, is you want to take the valve, okay, so from the top, so the wider holes, okay, you have a big hole and a small hole, so you want to take the top of the valve and you want to put it in the valve keg backwards and push it in slightly. There you go, and it shouldn't move. But before you do this, you would want to take off your number 2 and your number 3 O-ring on your valve, because what you want to do is you want to check each of these individually the same way. So when you're done checking number 1, that's right here at the edge, take it off, put on number 2 on the same spot, put it in the valve. Because just the other day I did this and I noticed the first O-ring on the top, I put it in and did this, it fell right off. There was no seal. So that was the O-ring that made this leak happen and possible, because just one valve O-ring caused all that headache, and it just pissed through the barrel It didn't come through the bolt or the power tube tip. It actually came through this O-ring here, the 017 on the inside of the keg. All the air did was it built up in the keg. Actually, it was getting released here at the top of the valve because that one O-ring wasn't sealing, and all the air pressure was pushing forward on this 117 O-ring here, 017 O-ring here, and it was just constantly leaking, and I could not get it to stop no matter what I did. So that is the one thing you want to look for, is make sure that all your O-rings on your valve are completely good and sealable. Otherwise, you're going to have headaches. I've been taking this gun apart for days, and I used up half a tube of lube trying to figure this out, and all I did was wasted all that money and time, all because of one little metric 17 by 1 O-ring in the valve. And this drivetrain happens to be just a tad intimidating just because the sheer amount of parts and the O-rings in this thing. But once you kind of know what to do and what O-ring causes leaks, then you'll know how to diagnose them in the future. So let's summarize. If you have a leak down the barrel, it could either be a one of 3 possible O-rings. Okay, so it could be either the inner keg O-ring, which is the 017. Okay, it could either be this power tube tip O-ring. It could be this O-ring here. But I think generally this O-ring, if this O-ring leaks, it'll either leak both out of the front of the drivetrain and in the solenoid area. Okay, so you'll have air blowing outside of or on the inside of the grip frame. That's just a typical diagnostics of that. So what you just want to do is you just want to make sure all your O-rings are genuine Macdev O-rings. I personally don't really think it matters. O-ring is a fucking O-ring, and they all serve the same purpose as long as it's a Buna O-ring with a durometer of 70. Okay, any softer than that, they'll wear down faster than typical, and you'll be replacing them more than not. So best thing to do is just when you get a gun from Macdev, automatically go out and buy an O-ring kit. It saves so much time, so much hassle, and this informational video will help you figure out what leaks are coming from, and where and how to fix them. Okay, so now that's just down the barrel. Inner O-ring, which is 017, power tube tip, or in this case, either the bolt O-ring or the valve O-ring, which is always the number 1, okay, on the top of the valve. Alright, the bigger end. The end with the bigger hole. That O-ring will cause a leak down the barrel as well, because if this ain't sealing, all that air that's built up between here and here, that's all going to be pushed up and out through this O-ring here. Okay. Now, if you have a leak that is coming out of the solenoid area, which is in the grip frame, it's typically your valve O-rings. Okay. It's usually the back 2. Okay. So if these 2 wear down, when you air up your gun, it's just going to go and it's going to come out of your grip frame. Another weird one I had actually about a year or 2 ago, was when this very, very bottom O-ring, okay, so when this O-ring gave and wore down, in a ramping verse, all you're going to hear is bop, 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 bop. Okay, that means that this O-ring here, this last one, is garbage. You need to replace that as well. When in doubt, if you replace one of these O-rings and the leak don't go away, when in doubt, replace them all. Okay, it's only a 01. Actually, it's a 17 by 1 metric O-ring. So all you gotta do, and when in doubt, just replace them all, and that should take care of the problem. But also make sure to do the test. Okay, take these two back ones off here. Take these two back ones off, and take this end, stick it in the valve keg, alright, and that should seal. And like I said, that should not fall out at all. And do that with each O-ring. So as soon as you're done with this one, take it off, put the next one on, same thing, okay? If all three of them are a perfect seal, awesome. You can put all your O-rings on your valve, lube it up, put it back in, and it should be fine. Okay? So, that was my little finding. So ever since I replaced that top O-ring in the valve, that pissing of air down the barrel has completely stopped. And I haven't had it back, and it's been a couple weeks now. And actually the gun shoots great. So, hopefully this informational video helped you out a bit. It would have helped me if I would have known what the O-ring and what the cause of that O-ring was. But unfortunately, it was one of those figure it out for yourself type things, right? I've had this gun for 5 years, and like I said, you learn things every day with this type of drivetrain, with it being so complicated, and yeah, it's a lot of work to diagnose a leak if you don't know what you're doing and you just got this gun. And instead of just having it leak and you're just thinking it's a piece of crap and getting rid of it, it's very, very simple O-ring. So yeah, put the drivetrain back together as per usual. Make sure all your parts are clean, free of debris, dirt. Lube them up lightly, okay, because less is more. These guns do not need a shit ton of lube because they're just very, very finicky when they have a lot, because when they have a lot of lube in there, they tend to kind of stick and you'll have a lot of shoot down. So use very, very little lube. It goes a very, very long way. I've seen a lot of people cake their drivetrain with lube and then they end up shooting it down their barrel, and they honestly start thinking that, hey, now that my paint's all over the place, there's something wrong with the drivetrain again, so I'm gonna have to take it apart and clean it. But no, you just got grease in the barrel that's causing your paint to go all over the place. So yeah, keep in mind, guys, maintenance to your gun is very, very important, especially with these older models that have the complicated drive, because I know the Clone 5 is much simpler now to maintain, less parts, less moving things, and O-rings as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free, drop a comment below, and yeah, very, very simple once you get to learn the drivetrain. Yeah, so other than that, have a good day, guys. Comment, rate, subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free. Have a nice one.